Let me ask you a hypothetical, Grant. Let's say the Niners had made these moves last offseason. Keep everybody else on the team, keep 2021 the same, add some core special teamers. Would that have made the difference? It certainly would have made the difference in win-loss record. I think you could give me that. Would it have made any difference in the playoffs?
I think to me, the special teams is the reason they won a playoff game.
Yeah, Green Bay.
It was the star of that game.
Yep.
So I understand that it was a weakness for a large part of the season, but I didn't come into the offseason being like, they're just an improved special teams away from being the best team in the league. I don't see it that way. Like, to me, the issue with this team is the fact that they haven't chosen which quarterback they want to commit to. Like, you could argue that last year, if they had not brought in Trey Lance and spent the 12th pick on someone that would help Jimmy Garoppolo, like, they would have gone to the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or if they had just committed to Trey Lance, traded Jimmy Garoppolo, and used that cap space on things to help Trey Lance, they would have gone to the Super Bowl. Like, the fact that they didn't choose one or the other and kind of try to do both, you could say is the biggest thing that held them back.
I agree. Like, summarizing that, I would say that the indecision at quarterback has created a misuse of assets, right? Asset allocation that could have been otherwise spent. Jimmy Garoppolo could have had a better surrounding cast in last year. This year, if Jimmy were gone, Trey could have a much better surrounding cast.
Pick one. And it's like the Niners are like, no, we don't have to. We're that much better than the rest of the league. And what they're saying is, like, the rest of the league has X cap space.
Yeah.
We're going to waste this and D Ford. So we're going to be better than everyone else with like X minus cap space. Like, what? Who do you think you know? You're not. You're going to be in the mix. But if you really want to be the number one team in the league, you got to go all in. That's how you won the last Super Bowl in 1995. That's what you did. And the reason you guys, the Niners, were on the cusp in the early 90s when I was a very little kid, and they needed to beat the Cowboys, and they took extreme measures to do so. This team is like, let's just stay in the mix every year. Let's just give ourselves a chance and do business as usual. Maybe it'll work for them, but it hasn't worked yet. It's not how Eddie did business.
And it is a healthy long-term strategy. I don't want to be too critical of it because I do think it leads to sustained success. But you have to ask yourself, when you get to the crest of the hill, when you get up there and you just need a little bit more, that's the time when you say, all right, reckless abandon, let's go. We're close. Let's do this. And you see other teams making those moves. I think that's the frustration I get from Niner faithful, is that the Niners are that close. They are definitely that close. A few moves seems to be the difference, but they're being conservative.
But there's another segment of the Niner faithful that feels like they're there already. And the fact that they didn't win a Super Bowl last year was a fluke, and that they just need to patch a couple holes, and they're there. And what's crazy about that is that's how I feel the organization feels.
That's what I was going to ask. Is that how John Lynch and Shanahan feel?
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's why a large segment of the fan base feels that way too, is because they're taking cues from the organization. We're good. We're good. Like, man, I disagree. And it's like, okay, the NFC is getting easier and easier. Okay, the AFC is getting harder and harder. And I'm pretty sure you got to play an AFC team in the Super Bowl if you get there.
I think those are the rules.
And the Niners are acting again like, oh, we're the best team in the NFC West. We own the Rams. For sure. Are you sure? Are you sure? Because they just won the Super Bowl. And they just beat you in the NFC Championship game. Like, you're not the best team in your division. I don't even know what topic we're on, but I'm going to keep going. In 2019, when they went to the Super Bowl, they made some big moves. It was D Ford, Quan Alexander, and then when that wasn't enough, at 8-0, they were undefeated. Whatever it was, and they're like, we need Emmanuel Sanders too. This year, they're like, man, special teams and Trevarius Ward, who's like good, but like the Chiefs aren't tripping on losing Trevarius Ward. In fact, they're like, you know what? We'd rather have Justin Reed, which makes me feel like the Niners should have felt like they should have rather had Justin Reed because they had a needed safety too. So now I'm thinking like, you just took the Chiefs. They didn't even want him. The Chiefs wanted Justin Reed instead of Trevarius Ward. Why wouldn't you want Justin Reed over Trevarius Ward? Why? So I'm like, already I'm skeptical because the last time you invested in a Chiefs player that they didn't want, it didn't work out good. You thought you knew better than the Chiefs about their own player. You didn't. Now you're double dipping. Anyway, that's a rant. I don't know what the topic is anymore.
The Grant rant.
We're talking about special teams, apparently, according to the ticker.
Yeah, well, I think we have veered off of special teams. That's for sure. I do think that you could see an aggressive in-season trade. Once the Niners have confirmed what they have in Trey Lance, I think they'll be much more willing to throw themselves out there.
Okay, good point. William says maybe not splash and shows, some confidence in Trey, not uncertainty. They don't think they need much, not acting out of desperation, and I like it. That is definitely a more positive way to look at it.
Yeah, flip side of the coin.
I'm not built to look at things that way. Sorry. To be fair, we have an unproven quarterback, 94, 95, had young Rice. That's probably what's going on right now. I mean, you look at the teams going all in, they all know exactly what they got at quarterback. Am I wrong on that? Josh Allen, his team went all in. Derek Carr, his team went all in. Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson. We all like Trey Lance, but really, man, we don't know. And frankly, it's possible that him not playing last year means he's not quite ready to lead this team to a Super Bowl or any team, which is why I thought he should have played last year. But that's a difference. But the Niners could be like, hey, we could get Chandler Jones and not win the Super Bowl because our quarterback has 2.5 starts in the last 2 years. And that's on them.
And I do think it's fair to point out that the Niners are, I think, indisputably a good team. It's just a question of whether they're Super Bowl caliber.
CBS grades our free agency C+ so far. In what context? I mean, you could give them an A, saying this was a good purchase, this was worth the price. You could give them an F and saying they had one goal. You had one objective, is to become the Super Bowl favorite, and they failed. I mean, it depends on what you're grading them on.
Sure. I mean, I would look at, I thought their number one priority was re-signing their own guys. So in that case, the C+ seems fitting.
Skylar says, I like the Odom signing, but feel we are still lacking that playmaker in the secondary. Any predictions to fill the remaining holes in the team? They think Talanoa is a playmaker. I'm telling you, they romanticize late round safeties on this team. Adrian Colbert was the first one. No disrespect to Adrian Colbert. He was an undrafted or a 7th round pick who, had a moment. Talanoa, similar. And it's crazy to think that say what you want about Tart, premium athlete. Didn't necessarily have the ball skills, premium athlete. And you're going to replace him with a 5th round pick who's not a premium athlete? We shall see. We shall see. Hey, man, maybe he'll be a playmaker, though. I don't know. Trade Jimmy for cap space? No. We just need to cut our Hulu subscription. John Lynch, likely. Yeah, that was Vicious thing. He's like, you have this Lamborghini that you're not using, and you're trying to find ways to save money. So you're like not shopping at Whole Foods anymore. You're going to grocery outlet bargain market just to save $1 here and there when you have a Lamborghini in the driveway that you're not driving.
Yeah, it's a fair criticism. If the Niners have sacrificed anyone so far that they couldn't sign because they had Jimmy's cap space still on the books, to me, that would be a big mistake, because at some point you do just have to say, we got to move on. We have got to make use of this cap space one way or the other.
You keep trashing Ward. What the F? Let's see him play first. I would say he was like the 4th best cornerback on the market. He's a good player.
Yeah, I would agree with that assessment.
He's a good player. I just thought the Niners should be, going after great players. But I'm a jerk like that. Sean says, Niner Empire DMV. Remember Grant, Cohn, and Rob. Kyle and John think they're the smartest people in the NFL. It's true. They overvalue Jimmy G, and we as a fan base must hold them accountable for our team not being successful this upcoming season. I really feel like the Niners think they buy into what the locker room says. Jimmy's this leader. He's a savior. He's got this intangible quality. He's better than he's better than his stats. And the rest of the league's like, I don't see it. And the Niners are like, well, you will see it the way we see it. It's like, but they're like, but you don't want him. They're like, well, yeah, it's complicated. We kind of do. That's how I look at it.
I feel like it's more likely that the 49ers got a little overconfident and somewhat bamboozled in this whole scenario, that they thought that it was a done deal and then just didn't sign on the dotted line when they should have taken the first good offer that came their way.
I'm glad we spoke about in special teams.